Hey everybody, Daniel here with another Casual Dude review, and today we're going to be doing the Battle of the Bracelets. And so we're going to be talking about the Oyster bracelet, we're going to be talking about the bracelet on the day date, and we're going to be talking Jubilee. And so these are the three watches I have that kind of meet those qualifications. The Submariner has a couple of features that not all Oyster bracelets have, but we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And so why don't we start with the Jubilee? Now, I do have a stainless steel GMT that came on a Jubilee, and typically I would have used that, but I wasn't a huge fan of the Jubilee on the Batman. And so what I did is I went to my authorized dealer and purchased an Oyster bracelet for it and ended up putting the Oyster on it. And so the first thing I want to say, of course, totally subjective. You might feel differently, but I do like Oyster bracelets on stainless steel sports models a lot better than a Jubilee. So my GMTs are all on Oyster. I swapped out the Jubilee on my Batman, like I had said, and I just like it a lot more. But to each their own. I do think the date just looks good on a Jubilee, regardless if it's two-tone stainless or any other configuration. I am a huge fan of the Jubilee bracelet and fluted bezel, and so that's my favorite configuration, regardless of which date just you might have or be interested in. So I do only have one date just at the moment, and that is this one. And so I did pull this out for today's discussion. Let's go ahead and put it on the wrist and talk about it a little bit. Now, as far as comfort, you really can't beat a Jubilee bracelet. All of Rolex's bracelets are very comfortable, but I think the Jubilee is obviously because the links are so short and it has a lot more flex around it, really can't be beat. One thing I do have to notice is that over time, the Jubilee bracelets do tend to stretch a little bit. And so when you're taking in for a service, it's usually something Rolex can't fix. Of course, there's always the option of Works, which is well recommended when it comes to bringing a bracelet back to life. Fortunately, this bracelet, even though it does get worn quite a bit, it's still relatively new, so we don't see any of the stretching here. And usually you can take a look at the stretching by holding it on the side and letting gravity pull the bracelet down a little bit. Another thing I do like is that this does have a little bit of an adjustment. So the modern bracelets here will fold in on itself and close like this, or you can open it up and then move that out. And so that will give you about a half link, or even on a Jubilee, almost a full link of give. So if your wrist expands, you have a little bit of room to play. So what we're going to do is put it on here and take a look at that. And as you see, obviously because of the links being a lot smaller, it does have a lot more conformity to it when it's on the wrist. And again, Jubilee absolutely love the bracelet. I don't love it on all watches, but this is a great bracelet design. Now, Rolex's bracelets are one thing I think that sets them apart from other manufacturers. As you know, based on my channel, I do love Omega as well. I like Cartier. I like a lot of different brands, but I think one thing that Rolex has better than anybody is the bracelet when it comes to things like comfort and design. I look at the Seamasters I have now. My Seamasters now are on mesh bracelets, but the Seamaster Professional 300 is just not a great looking bracelet. It's one of the bracelets that I took off right when I got it. It was very comfortable, but it wasn't as stylish. And I think Rolex has nailed that combination of style and a classic look along with comfort. And so again, one thing I love about this is the comfort of it, and then the fact that it does have a bit of adjustment through a micro adjustment on the clasp. So next we will talk about the Oyster bracelet. Now this is, as I mentioned, my favorite bracelet when it comes to stainless steel sports watches. I think the look is classic. I think the comfort is there. And this is an all-around just a kind of perfect bracelet to, kind of wear out, wear it as your daily, bang it around. Stainless steel is going to be strong. It's not going to show scratches that much. And again, it looks rugged and it performs rugged and it has the comfort to back it up. Now, as I mentioned, one thing we're going to talk about is the Submariner has a glide lock. And so this will actually give you a lot of play when you're trying to adjust your watch. And so you can slide it into multiple positions to open it up and close it up. A lot of the other Oyster bracelets do not have that. What they will have is something similar to what we saw in the Jubilee. But all in all, Sorry for the adjustment there. I think the Oyster bracelet is the perfect sports watch bracelet. I don't know any other watch brand, Rolex or higher, that has as comfortable of a bracelet with the looks and the kind of rigidity that it has. And so again, the Submariner is a bit of an odd man out. I did want to show it to you because my other watches like the Explorer or the GMT do have micro adjustments, but it doesn't have the adjustment that you would get on a Submariner with the glide lock. And so the glide lock is absolutely amazing, but we will put this on the wrist and show you what we have here. And so I have quite a few watches on that Oyster bracelet. I have an Explorer, the GMTs, which does have the polished center links. And then I have an Air King. And as a daily, I think the Oyster is the perfect, anything on the Oyster is a perfect daily watch, just for comfort and ruggedness. So absolutely gorgeous. And then the last one we'll talk about here, keeping this real short, is the Day Date. Now the Day Date is also a great bracelet, very classic. Bear with me while I put the Submariner back on the cushion, and we'll put it back on the roll. Day Date is, one of the things that stands out about the Day Date is the bracelet. No other Rolex in the lineup has this bracelet. So when you see it, you know right away that it's a Day Date. And so that's one thing I do love about it. It's unique, it's exclusive to the Day Date, and it's very comfortable. It does have that kind of, same kind of personality as the Jubilee bracelet, in the sense that the links are a little bit shorter, so it conforms better to the wrist. And it's just such a stylish bracelet. And one thing I do like about the bracelet on the Day Date as well, let's close it back up here, is that it looks almost seamless. The clasp is there, but it's hidden. And so you have the same design all the way around. Now, of course, similar to the Jubilee, I think you're going to be more susceptible to stretching over time. But, that's just one thing that comes with the territory. This watch is still pretty new. I don't think I've actually worn this out yet, just because I have so many watches, and this is definitely a special occasion watch, but I do look forward to bringing it out. And so one thing that's cool about this, again, hidden clasp, you lift the Rolex crown here, and it opens up just like any other Rolex. Now, one thing to note here, if you can see, that there is no adjustment here. And so I kind of found myself between sizes here. If I had left the link in, it would have been a little too loose, and I really don't like the loose look of the watch. But when I went by taking another link out, it is a little bit tighter. And so again, I haven't worn it out to see if it will kind of meet my wrist dimensions when my wrist expands on like a hotter day or anything like that. But as of now, when I put it on, it fits beautifully. And so we'll go ahead and close that up. And like right now, it fits perfect. I don't know if that's the case if my wrist were to expand. Fortunately, we're getting into colder weather here in California. And so there it is on the wrist. All right. And so, yeah, it's really something to consider. Like I said, most of my dailies are on the Oyster bracelet just because it's stainless. It's a little bit more rugged. Of course, you can get stainless in Jubilee as well. But Jubilee just comes off a little bit too flashy for me. Even on the stainless side, it's very eye-catching. And sometimes that's not what you want. You just want something that kind of, flies low. And so that's why the Submariner and like the Air King and Explorer are the watches that I'll typically grab on a day where I'm, working from home or just kind of doing things around the neighborhood. So that's become my daily. And so, like I said, I think one thing that Rolex has absolutely nailed is the comfort of their bracelets. I love the diversity and, the options that you have on the bracelets. The Speedmaster has a similar bracelet to the Jubilee. It's very comfortable, but the clasp is a little bit shorter, so it's tough to get around the hand. And so it's great when it's on, but it's far from perfect. And I think, I would say that I put myself as an Omega fan just as much as a Rolex fan. And one thing that cannot be beat is the different bracelets on the Rolexes. So again, the Oyster bracelet, probably my favorite in a more practical sense. I love the unique and the exclusivity of the day date bracelet, but I do not like that it does not have any adjustments, no micro adjustments, no sliding adjustments. It is kind of nice that there is no visible clasp, and so you get continuity across the wrist with the day date bracelet. And then the Jubilee, which is kind of a great hybrid where you've got that same kind of look as you do on the day date, obviously not identical, but you have these smaller links that provide a very comfortable wear, a little bit more flashy, but you also do have the benefit of a micro adjustment. So, in hotter weather, when your wrist expands and contracts, you can make that adjustment on the fly. And so that's it. These are the three bracelets that Rolex puts out that are, the most common. As mentioned, the Jubilee can come on a sports model like a GMT. The day date is exclusive to this, and then most of your sports watches are going to be coming on the Oyster bracelet. So Submariner, GMT, Explorer, Air King, etc. are all going to come on the Oyster bracelet. So very practical, not so much practical, bit of a hybrid. Great daily. Long-term wear will definitely show more on Jubilee bracelet due to stretching and things like that. And then the added benefit of the micro adjustment. So which one is your favorite? Has the bracelet design, contributed to your decision in purchasing a watch, or are you buying it more for the watch itself and its functions and its durability? All of these watches will last a lifetime. So, I like to have the diversity in there. And so that's one of the reasons I have kind of, different variations of bracelets. I do not own a stainless Jubilee bracelet, only this one on the two-tone. But is the bracelet a factor in your watch shopping, or is it more about the watch itself? Have you ever taken a bracelet off a watch that you own because you didn't like it, either the way it looks or the way it feels? And what did you replace it with? So would love to know in the comments. I like to respond as soon as I can to those. I love feedback of the community. But I am hoping that you enjoyed this short video, and yeah, leave feedback. I love reading it and I love responding to it. So yeah, thanks for watching another video, and I hope you all have a good day.